Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to day 5. I'm really proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for showing up for yourself. I am proud of you for sticking with it. It says a lot about your commitment that you're still here on day 5, and I hope you're giving yourself a big pat on the back. I want to, let me change one setting here because I want to make sure I'm live for everybody. Hold on. I just need to check something. Want to make sure everybody can get in from the waiting room. There we go. All right. I wanted to make sure that if a couple people joined us late, they would still be able to get in now that the meeting has started. So, just another one of those Zoom things. All right. So, are you ready? So, first of all, I want to thank you for letting me be here with you this week. It has been an honor. I have loved everything that people have shared. I love getting the questions. I love the interaction. And it's our last day together. But I wanted to let you know that the Facebook group is going to remain open for another week because I wanted to make sure if anyone has follow up questions now that the challenge is over, or follow up questions about the Master Your Midlife Metabolism group coaching program that's coming up. I want to make sure that I am here to get all those questions answered. So you have another week, so please take advantage of that. All right, I have one question real quick from Wanda. She wants to know if there are recordings of the previous sessions. Yes, there is a Breakup with Sugar website that has all the previous recordings on there. If you have been getting my emails, you will find that link in the emails. And I know if you're here live, you may not be opening the replay email, but that's where you'll find it. And Wanda, if you'll remember me, remind me toward the end today, I'll put a link in the chat to that website. But it'll take me a minute to get there. So I don't want to take time to do that right now. But if you remind me, I'll post that in the chat so that you won't have to go back through your emails. And hopefully also I'll try to remember to put it in the Facebook group as well today so that you'll have lots of places that you can find that. But I definitely want you to get caught up. All right, let me share my screen with you for today's class. Tammy, thank you. I forgot to ask if you could hear me on Facebook, and I appreciate you. You know what I'm going to ask. You've shown up every day, and you know. So thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. All right. So here we go, day 5. As you can see, it's a little party. I got my little pineapples celebrating for you guys because we're here on day 5. So just, a real quick recap. We've learned a lot this week. We've gone over a whole lot. We've talked about how to get those temptations out. We talked about how much sugar we're eating and where it's coming from. And we talked about that cycle and why it keeps repeating itself and some of the strategies that we can use to make sure that we don't have that spike and crash, that fat storage, that energy, up and down all day long. We talked about the foods to add in so that your cravings go down. And I gave you some healthy replacements that you could use instead of sugar. And today we're going to hone in on this self-sabotage cycle. So you know what I mean. It's that best intentions that somehow get tripped up along the way, and you end up reverting back to old patterns, even though you're trying really hard. And so the key here is emotional eating. It is a huge issue for so many of us. Even if you don't think you're an emotional eater, I want you to listen today because you might learn a little bit I'm going to give you kind of a little quiz. It's not exactly a quiz. It's kind of a let's find out if you're an emotional eater. So let's identify some of these things. Let's figure out what these triggers are, and then let's take some steps to start ending that cycle. So if I have any emotional eaters out there, chime in. Give me a wave. Give me a, yeah, that's me. I know. Raise your hand. Okay. So, how do you know if you are an emotional eater? So, there's a physical hunger when your body really does need nutrition, it needs food. And then there's emotional hunger. So, how do you know which one you're experiencing? Well, first of all, if the hunger is actually physical, it will come on more gradually. All right. You know how you're going through your day and you're getting a little more hungry and it doesn't feel necessarily urgent, unless you're like starving. But emotional eating, a craving, will come on really suddenly. So it feels like it's urgent, it's overwhelming, and it just all of a sudden hits you. And if you are physically hungry, it can wait. All right. So it's like, I am hungry. I am feeling a little uncomfortable, but, I can wait till my lunch hour or, whatever. But the emotional eating, again, it feels urgent. It's like, I got to have this and I got to have it now. And physical hunger is you're a little more open to the options. So you're kind of like, how if you're at the grocery store and you're physically hungry and you're like, oh, that chicken looks good. And oh, yum, that would be so good for dinner. And, everything kind of looks good and you're open to, having a nice meal. But the emotional eating is more specific. So it's more like those comfort foods. It's more like the sugar. It's more like the carbs, the chips, or like the cheesy stuff, macaroni and cheese and pizza and stuff with the carbs and the fat and all that good, yummy stuff. So it's really specific as to whatever those comfort foods are for you. And the other thing is that physical hunger kind of goes away. Once you have eaten and you got your fill, you're kind of good. You can step away. But emotional eating, it's hard to satisfy it. So you might just keep eating and keep eating even mindlessly and until you're overly full, you're overly stuffed, but you just feel like you can't stop. And here's the biggest one. Physically eating, because your body needs food, doesn't come with regret, right? You were hungry, you ate, you did what was necessary. But if you ate emotionally, a lot of times it triggers this guilt afterwards. You feel bad, you decided you weren't going to eat it and then you did, and so this, shame and guilt starts coming up. So when these things happen, when you're emotional eating and you're trying to figure out how do I get out of this? Because I know a lot of you are emotional eaters and even though you have the best intentions to stop, you do it anyway. We've all experienced that. And you're like, why? Why can't I make this work? Well, the first thing that does not work is more food rules and more restrictions. All right. That just makes you feel more caught in a box. That reminds me of that song. Caught in a trap. I can't look back. Whatever. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm feeling goofy today because it's Friday. Anyway, more foods, rules, and restrictions, and trying to tighten the belt, make it even more like forced is not going to work. That's going to feel worse. And you know what else really feels worse? Is judging yourself. All right. That inner critic coming in and, telling you Why'd you do this again? Why do you not have willpower? You know, all those horrible things that go on inside your head. We're our own worst critics for sure. And making yourself feel worse doesn't make you motivated to positive change. So I saw a sign once that said floggings will continue until morale improves. All right. So that's like beating yourself over the head all day long with a baseball bat and expecting you to do better and feel better. Well, that's not motivating. That's not uplifting. That doesn't help you want to move forward, right? And so that's kind of where that cycle comes in because emotional eating happens in part because we're human and we need to feel good. We don't just need to feel good, we deserve to feel good. And if we aren't feeling good, we look for something that will help. And food has become a very prevalent way of dealing with that because it works temporarily. We talked about the very first week, it releases those feel good hormones, that dopamine, that relaxation response. And your brain knows that worked in the past. And so your brain's going to go back to that when you don't feel good, when you're stressed or tired or whatever is going on with you. Food's going to give you that boost. Sugar's going to give you that boost. And then if you do eat it, and then you feel bad about yourself and you start beating yourself over the head, does that make you feel better? No, obviously not. That makes you feel worse. And when you feel bad, you look for something to help you feel good. So you go to food, and then it's that never ending cycle. It's that pattern that keeps repeating itself. And so I want to give you some really awesome tools that can help you start breaking this cycle. So here's what we can do. First of all, instead of beating yourself up, look at this with some curiosity. So, kind of becoming a detective. Instead of going straight to judgment, take a step back outside yourself and look at what's happening and say, all right, why am I eating even though I'm not hungry? Why am I eating things that I don't want to eat that I know aren't serving my body? What is going on? Um, am I stressed? Am I tired? You know, what's driving me toward this? And lose that inner critic. Just put her to sleep and say to yourself, you know what? I am human. I am going through something stressful or dealing with something or whatever. And this is a very human way of dealing with it. That's why so many people do struggle with this. You're not alone. This is very prevalent in our society. Food is easy to get. It's very accessible, it's inexpensive, and it works. So that's a normal, natural response. When you don't feel good, find something that does help you feel good. And so give yourself some grace. You need, want, and deserve to feel good. All right. But getting that in a way besides food is the key. And so when you're becoming curious, when you're kind of noticing, okay, why am I eating when I don't want to? Add in, that concept of adding in that I've been talking about for several days now. Add in some self care, add in something that makes you feel good in a healthy way. So, see how we're kind of reverse engineering cravings and emotional eating and all of that this whole week. Instead of feeling bad, instead of blaming, instead of thinking we don't have willpower, instead of thinking, oh, I've done this again, I'm a failure, blah, 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 blah. We're trying to get to the root of what's really going on because the band aid is the food rules, right? The band aid is trying to treat the symptom, which is the eating and the cravings, versus getting to the root of what is really going on. And all of this can be solved by getting to the root. And when you do, you start figuring out what to add in. And then when you add it in, it crowds it out. So, see how that's completely different. So, if you're having cravings, if you're overeating, if you're emotional eating, that is a symptom. That's your body's way of talking to you. That is your check engine light. Okay. If you're in your car, the check engine light comes on, you're going to investigate, okay, what's going on? Why, what is happening? So that's your check engine light. That's your sign that something's out of balance, whether it's with your nutrition or with your life, with your stress, whatever that needs to be addressed. And it really can be that simple. It's just a mindset switch. It's a big mindset shift. And then putting it into action and knowing what your tools are to start working through that and changing it and getting what you need. And this is the philosophy that I use throughout all of my work with clients. And I know I have been talking to you recently about my group coaching program, Master Your Midlife Metabolism. And one of the philosophies that I go back to over and over again is adding in to crowd out. When you add in what your body needs nutritionally, you'll crowd out the cravings and the hunger and the need for the things that aren't so good for us. Same thing emotionally with the emotional eating piece. When you start adding in what you do need, you crowd out the other stuff, these symptoms that pop up. And, we cannot obviously cover everything today about emotional eating. It's a pretty big topic. And that's why I dedicate one whole week of my group coaching program just to emotional eating so that we can really get in and break this down more and have more tools and really start understanding it. And it's sort of woven throughout the program as well, because like I've said, this is not just a physical thing, knowing what to eat and how much to eat and what exercises to do and how much and, what is working physically with our body, with your midlife body and your metabolism. That's one thing. But there is that other side as well that's just important. And, that's why I say that my methods are based in science. So, for your body, what you need to be healthy. And it's based in real life. It's based on, okay, what's going on in our head? And also, how busy are we? What are all these things that we're juggling? Because realistically, what can I do and how? How do I do it? I'm going to break that down in the group coaching program. So, not just what to do, but how. How can we do it? Like, really hack your life and really set up that framework, because I want you to get on a pattern of healthy living. It's just a healthy lifestyle. And then you can set it and you can forget it and you can continue it for the rest of your life. And in real life, a lot of times we need support. It's hard doing this stuff on your own. You know that. You've tried it. You buy the diet books, you get the apps, all of those things. And if you're struggling and it keeps coming up, then let's do something different, right? Let's do something different. I just have a couple of more testimonials for you of some women who have gone through the program. I won't, read this whole thing to you, but this is Allison, who was really struggling, with her self control and also with how she was feeling about herself. And she says that I worked with her on the root causes and she ended up losing 44 pounds. Every time I talk to her, she thanks me and, she says, you saved my life. I'm not trying to, toot my horn here, but these are her words. You saved my life. That's how really transformational it can be. And Rebecca is a super busy working mom. She says fast-paced life was always her issue, and it was really hard, to figure out what to eat and how to do it. And we set up a program for her. She's lost 15 pounds and she's doing awesome. Lee lost 18 pounds, and it's that cycle. She wanted to end that cycle of on again, off again, and feeling guilty and ending up gaining more weight because she was beating herself up and all those things I just mentioned. So, that's just a couple of more testimonials that I wanted you to hear from real women who have experienced the results of this program. And it is very accessible. I tried to make the price absolutely as reasonable as possible, and that's also why I set up the payment plan, so that you can pay it in 2 installments. The clock is ticking for this early bird rate, so it's good through next week. And if you want the extra bonus, the 45-minute private one-on-one coaching session with me, which I do not offer. I usually do not. I've never offered it as part of this program, and I don't really do one-on-one one-off sessions either. So this is really a big value, because we can get laser focused on just you. It'll be just us privately talking, and we're going to work out everything that you have going on so we can just like set this foundation before we get started with the group coaching. And there's a money back guarantee. So you've got 2 weeks, and I'm going to show up for you. I'm going to give you my 100%, and you have to show up too. That we're in this together. We're in this together, and I'm going to do my part. And if you show up too and you're just like, this just doesn't work for me, your way of teaching or whatever it is just isn't it's not going to work for me. I've tried and it's not doing it. I will happily refund 100% of your money. And if you're wondering, okay, I struggle to like put my money down. I get it. I get it. But just, I want you to think for a second, how much are you spending on Amazon and at Target? How much are you spending on eating out and getting coffees? And how much are you spending on, bad habits, like the junk food and the fast food and whatever? Because if you can replace a little of that, it's going to more than cover the program. And then there's also like, what are these other things that you keep trying? You're buying the equipment, you're taking the supplements, you've got the smartwatch, you've got the apps, whatever, the Peloton, and they're not going, if you've been trying it, those aren't going to get you there. Not to say they don't have value, they do. A lot of these are great. They can help you towards your final goal, but they're probably not going to be enough. So when you're deciding, where do I want to make my investment? What would it be worth to do it and be done with it? Not have to keep looking for the next thing, not have to keep trying and losing and gaining and, ending this cycle so you can be done with it. And in the end, feeling good in your body, feeling your clothes fitting well and feeling comfortable every day and feeling good every day about what you're eating. And a lot of us struggle to make an investment in ourselves. That's a symptom that a lot of women deal with because we're nurturers, we're caregivers, and that's kind of what got us into this situation to begin with. And I know very well how that is because I am a giver. I want to give everybody my 100%, at work, with my family, with my friends. But if you put everybody else first and then your health, your self care, your wellness is last on the list, that's the one that never gets done because you keep bumping it down. And I want you to know that you are worth the same amount of love and care that you give everyone else, period. And if you want to end this cycle, you have to start moving yourself to the top of the list. And when you do, you're better for everyone else. So this is not selfish. It can feel selfish sometimes to tell someone else no because we need to say yes to fixing a meal or exercising or whatever. But when you do take care of yourself, you are better for everyone else. You have more energy, you have more time, your mind is more clear, you're more enthusiastic, you're more present for all those in your life that you love and care for. So, what are your next steps? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Where do you plan to go from here to keep all these good habits that you've learned this week in place so that you don't revert back? Because I want you to stay off sugar, not completely, not 100%, 80%. I subscribe to an 80-20 rule. 80% eating well, exercising, 20% indulging, having some lazy days, taking vacations, that kind of thing. So I'd love to hear from you. What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway this week? What was your biggest aha? Like, was it the protein? Did that make a huge difference for you? And are you planning to keep that in from now on? Or maybe you started drinking more water, cutting down on soft drinks, getting a nice breakfast in. What was your takeaway from this week? And what do you plan on continuing through the rest of your life? And I would love it if one of your next steps was to join my group coaching program. I would be so honored to be able to continue on this journey for you. I'm going to put the link again in the chat like I have every day, and you'll also get an email with links. Um, and if you have any questions, I'm available. I'm happy to jump on a quick discovery call so that you can ask questions. I'm going to end the share because I know I have a few questions that are coming in. So let's see. All right, this is a good one. Wanda wants to know if I would recommend fasting. This intermittent fasting is one of the new and big things that has come about lately. And I don't think that it is a bad thing. Anything you ever want to try, I encourage it as long as it's not unhealthy. Um, and it does work for a lot of people, and it can be good at stabilizing your blood sugar. With that being said, that is pretty extreme. I feel like that is one of those kind of all or nothing, because if you don't stick to it all the time perfectly, it doesn't work. It's kind of like keto. If you eat a carb, oh no, you've lost it all. You're back. Um, and I also, try a lot of these things when they come about. I try them out for myself to see if it's realistic, because I read on the science. Yes, I want to understand the science, but I also want to see, does this work in real life? And I was not a fan of it. I found it really hard to work into a schedule because my schedule isn't the same every day. And if I wanted to go out to dinner and it wasn't exactly in that time frame, I just felt it was kind of restrictive and it just didn't work for my life. But if you want to try any of these, they're going to this program, this 6-week program, you can work them all into that. Um, if you're doing intermittent fasting, or if you're a vegetarian, or if you're keto, or, you know, um, gluten free, anything that you are doing is going to work into this program. Everything that I'm teaching is just going to help you nourish yourself and be healthier along the way, mentally and physically. Okay, Wanda, thank you. That was a good question. All right. Another question. How do the meetings work exactly? Yeah. Yeah. So we will meet every Tuesday night starting on March 5th for 7 weeks. And the meetings are at 7 p.m. Eastern time here on Zoom. They look different than the way I've been doing it this way, where your cameras are off and you're muted. This is very interactive. So, there's teaching at the beginning and there's discussion and questions all along the way and also at the end. So, you will get a lot of individual attention as well and have opportunities to get all your questions answered. And the meetings are between an hour and an hour and a half. And I'll have people that need to pop in late because they didn't get home from work or leave early because they have something, which is totally fine. And if you can't make it, that's fine too, because you'll always have a recording. There is a website, a member portal where all the recordings will stay, and also all the handouts and workbooks that go along with that week's teaching. They'll all be there and they will all stay there, and you'll have lifetime access. So you don't have to worry about getting behind. You don't have to worry about, if you can't do the first week, you're going to be behind and miss the whole thing, because that's not how it works. You can go at your own pace, or you can keep up with the group, whatever works for you. And also, it's there forever, so you can go back to it if you need to. Okay, another question. What does the food look like? Good question, because I told you we're going to get a lot of recipes and you're going to get some meal planning guides. And so the food is there's a huge variety. Some of it's vegetarian. Some of it is different, like Mexican food, Indian food. And then there's your basics, um, chicken, meat, whatever. We do like a black bean bowl, and I can't think of all the recipes right offhand. But there's a wide variety. So everything you can pick and choose, what's going to suit your tastes. All of it is food that I cook for myself. All of it are recipes that I share with my clients. I don't just find a recipe online and give it to you. I cook it myself and I tweak it and I make sure I like it, or it's recipes that have been handed down in my family that I have permission to share. They're family friendly, they're delicious, and you know what? They're simple and easy. I'm not going to spend all night in the kitchen. I'm not a gourmet cook. I need something I can throw together pretty quick when I get home. And you also get a list. I have a long list of what I call my 10-minute meals. And these are cabinet staples, pantry staples that you're going to have on hand, and that you literally, like, when you get home from work or, from a long day, whatever, you can just pop it and go. It's ready, super quick. Oh, okay, so one person wants to know what's considered midlife. That's a good question too. Um, I'll be 52. I am post menopause. I got forced into menopause when I had chemotherapy, but I consider midlife anywhere from perimenopause. So when you're starting to get those hot flashes and those night sweats and all that good stuff, because that's the sign that your hormones are changing, all the way through menopause, and then anywhere beyond that, because that's when your body has gone through the change. But it's true. It is a change. It is a change. And you have to treat your body differently based on that. So, yeah, that's what I consider midlife. All right, let me hop over to Facebook and see if I had any questions there. Sharon says, sugar is addicting. It really should be considered a drug. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Tammy A says, that's me, emotional eater. Yep, I know. I know. It's very real. All right. Couple more minutes to make sure I have all your questions answered. In the meantime, I'm putting the links in both chats to the Master Your Midlife Metabolism, where you can read more about it and sign up. And let me grab real quick the link to the Break Up with Sugar website, so that if you want to go back and watch any videos, they'll be there. Let me find that just real quick. All right. There's the Breakup with Sugar website. And it does have a password. No, it does not have a password. Okay, perfect. So that's all you have to do is click on that link to go to the website. All the videos are there so you can get caught up if you missed anything this week. Let me pop that into the Facebook Live as well. All right. I don't see any other questions. I want to remind you the Facebook group is staying open for another week. So if you have any questions between now and then, ask away. And also, if you want to grab a discovery call with me, you can go to my website, sarahhaaswellness.com, and there's a scheduler on there. It is perfectly free, no obligation. Um, or email me, if you want to set something up. You know where to find me. Put it in the Facebook group, message me, whatever. Here for you, and I just want to thank you so much. It's been a great week. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And I hope that we can see each other again very soon. Hope I'll see you inside the group coaching program. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.